This is Mirabella's Kitchen, and today I'm making turkey subs. If you'd like to cook with me, please check the description below for a list of the ingredients and a shout out to my patrons. I'm going to do my best to describe a baking process, which I have found describing baking is incredibly difficult for me. I made hoagies from scratch for this, and I will link the recipe I adapted down below. I start by taking 260 grams of 1% milk, warming it for 50 seconds in the microwave until it is between 105 to 110 degrees Fahrenheit. I then add 6 grams of instant yeast, which is usually about 1 packet, and let that sit and ferment for about 5 minutes. I start preparing the dry ingredients, which I am using 400 grams of bread flour, but you can also use all-purpose. 10 grams of honey, 20 grams of extra virgin olive oil, 8 grams of coarse kosher salt, and I'm going to mix the dry ingredients in with the yeast milk mixture. And start to mix that together loosely until it forms a ball. It's gonna be messy, it's gonna be sticky. So once the ball has been formed, I'm gonna cover it with some plastic wrap and let it rest for about 15 minutes to let the flour hydrate. After that, I knead the dough for 10 minutes to start. I like to put a timer on and also listen to something while I do it. Once it's been 10 minutes, I cut off a piece and I'm looking to see if I have a gluten window. So that's when you stretch that piece of dough to see if you can see through it before it rips, but mine is ripping, which means I need to knead a bit longer to build that gluten structure. So once you cut off a piece of the dough and you pull it where it's see-through, where I had pulled very hard at that point incidentally, but that's when I know that it's good to rest for its first ferment. I let it rest again in the bowl, covered with plastic wrap for about 1 hour until it doubles in size. And it got really big, so I push out the extra air. I'm gonna remove it and separate this into 4 pieces to create 4 rolls. I was trying to weigh it. I couldn't get them all to be 175 grams, which is what was recommended. I did what I could. I also take my baking sheet and put a layer of cornmeal down. I then try to spread out these pieces of dough into 8-inch long by 1-inch thick pieces before I roll it up, seal it, and then start to roll it out with my hands into about 10 inches long. I think this is where I went wrong. I felt like they were too thin. They grew, they're bigger, but they're not as big as I had hoped, but they didn't get 2 times the size. So these had rested for about 45 minutes to an hour covered with plastic wrap. I cut a slit in the side. That's gonna help let some steam out when they bake. I use a sharp knife. I then create an egg wash, so that's the white of 1 egg mixed with about a tablespoon of water, and I'm using a brush to brush on the egg wash on the outside of the hoagie rolls. I have a oven-safe pan preheating in the oven at 375 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm adding in a bunch of ice to the pan. This is gonna create steam in the oven to help the bread ideally get bigger. So I place it in for about 10 minutes to start before I'm going to rotate it. So it's starting to get golden, but it's not quite there yet. And I thought they were gonna get much bigger, and they didn't. They look like baguettes. So I have theories. I'm gonna keep trying. And so I let them rest for about 20 to 30 minutes. And they're beautiful, but they're baguettes. But I'm gonna use them anyways and make some turkey subs. So I cut it open. I'm using some mayonnaise, and also you can do mustard, mayonnaise, mustard as my spread for the turkey sub. My East Coast heart is after some big subs that I can never find out here. And I'm using provolone cheese. I like to use boar's head. And I'm going to just make it fit on my little baguette. And I'm using oven roasted turkey from the deli, also boar's head. And I'm layering lots of pieces. I like to have it super thin where it's almost falling apart. I then layer on my tomatoes and some shredded lettuce. And I'm gonna roll it up on the parchment paper and let it rest for a few minutes. Then I'm gonna cut it diagonally. And those are my turkey subs. Thanks for joining me today. I make new videos on cooking every Thursday. Please support me on Patreon and on Facebook at Mirabella's Kitchen.